Illinois Stories is brought to you by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and by the support of viewers like you. Thank you.
Hello, welcome to Illinois Stories. I'm Mark McDonald in Pike County, near the Mississippi River, near Hull, at Gardner Camp. Until 2012, this was a hunter's getaway, but since then, it's become 330 beautiful acres of educational opportunities for young people. Today, for instance, we joined 16 Head Start students from Camp Point as they learned about the environment here in the Mississippi River Valley.
Like I said, we're at Gardner Camp. Do you know what's near us? Do you see around us? What did you see when, well, we didn't really see a lot of it out there, but there's a lot of water around us. We are right next to the Mississippi River, okay? So what we are in actually is a wetland. Have you heard of a wetland before?
No.
No? Well, a wetland actually has water, really shallow water, all the time, year-round. The water goes up and the water comes down. So that's actually what happens here at Gardner Camp. We're near the river, so the water that we have here goes up and down. And because of that water, we have different types of animals down here. So what kind of animals do you think we see down here? Shout them out. You think you see skunks? Yeah. What kind of water animals do you think we would see? Turtles, that's right.
Fish.
Otters, we saw some otters, didn't we? Some fish, yeah.
Spiders.
We do see spiders. That's right. Well, ooh, a duck. Who said duck? A wood duck, right? Well, what I have here is some surprises. Now, let me show you something that's not too... What this is here... It's a frog. It's actually a leopard frog. So I'm gonna pass it around so everyone will be able to see. But this is a leopard frog, and we actually caught this little guy yesterday. I know, he blinked his eye. So this is an amphibian that lives here in the wetland area. So I'll pass this around. And what did I say it was called? A leopard frog. You were listening. You're so good. So see, if you look closely when I pass it around, you'll see spots on him like a leopard has. So I'll pass it this way. Can you see it? Yeah. And he's probably a young leopard frog because they just came out because it just started to get warm.
Look this hot. It jumped.
And does anybody know the difference between... No, don't do that. Does anybody know the difference between a frog and a toad?
I got scared of it.
You want to see it? Wait, let me turn him around. Does anybody know the difference between a frog and a toad? Well, frogs live in the water. Nope, don't hit him. Don't hit him. So we're just going to look. Just look with our eyes. Ooh, frogs live on water. And so we'll put him right here. Now, what I heard everyone say that fish might live in a wetland. So I have some. All right, let's sit back. So in here, we found these yesterday. Here, sit back a little bit. We have more. So these are little mosquito fish that we caught in one of the lakes out here, the shallow lakes that we have out here. Do you see them swimming around?
How did you kick them up?
We had nets. So I'll let you guys. Do they stink? So you can also see inside of here if you look really closely. When I bring it around. So fish, we all know fish, but these are mosquito fish. And if you look, you'll actually see some little plants on top of the water. And see the roots that go down in the water? Those are actually different types of plants that grow in the water in a wetland. But you can kind of see their roots, and you can see the fishes swimming around.
We have fishes.
Do you have fishies at home?
My nanny has fishies at home.
like little mosquito fish, they're called. I don't know if I can. What do you think it is?
A snake.
A snake.
Ooh.
Ooh, this is a little bitty baby water snake. So, okay. Step back. Go sit back over there, and I'll come over there to you. I'll bring him to you, okay? So this is a northern water snake, and they live in the water out here in the wetlands. But it's a little bitty baby. So it's a little bitty baby.
My Aunt Mouse.
Yeah.
My Aunt Mouse.
Yeah.
Nope,
it's a little.
I see its face.
Do you see its face? Is it looking at you?
Hey.
You see him? Yeah. Okay, let me go back there. So you guys can see. Can you see him? It does look like a zebra. It looks like a leopard, doesn't it? Has stripes.
Well, Amy, part of the reason this place exists is to give youth programs like that, right?
Yes.
Of course, you have little bitty kids. Those hedgehog kids are around 5 years old.
Yeah, 3 to 5.
And they're really cute, and they don't know a thing, do they?
No, they're just so fascinated by, anything out here that's moving or not moving or what's around the corner. They just are in exploration phase at all times.
You had just taken them on a hike, right?
Yes, yep.
So, and when you go on a hike here at Gardner, you can take them out in very little places. You can take them to a hiking trail. You can take them to a wetland. You can take them to all kinds of different habitats.
Right, absolutely. We're actually down here located in the Mississippi River wetland, but we do have some areas around camp that we can go kind of get tucked into the woods and see some of the trees and the kind of savanna areas under the trees. We can see, we went back to a slough and saw some water, so they got to see, we saw an otter swimming around.
Oh, you did?
And,
they got to see an otter. Okay,
yeah.
Well, they're pretty hard to spot because they don't like to be spotted.
No, I told the kids to be really quiet so we could see some of the animals, and we did. He, of course, dunked under, and we didn't see him after that. But
now, right over your shoulder, we're looking at one of your bigger lakes here.
Yes.
And it's intentionally low because this time of year you don't want a lot of water.
Right.
You draw it down.
Right.
But this is one of the lakes, and this is part of your wetland system.
Yes.
And you have over 300 acres here, and most of it is wetland.
Yes. This is actually Trester Lake. It is a natural wetland, so it's always been here. And we have the ability to raise and lower the water level out here to make sure the native wetland plants are actually growing out there and feeding the wetland animals and the wetland organisms and the ducks and waterfowl and things like that.
And we'll learn more about that as we go on. And then right behind us here, this is a wonderful new building. You just completed it. So it's a meeting hall. It's a place for education.
Right.
It's got a huge kitchen so groups can have meals here.
Yes.
It's really a great complex.
This is Gardner Hall. We talked to the nonprofit organizations in the area because really Mr. Gardner wanted to work with the nonprofit youth organizations of this area, Adams and Pike counties and surrounding counties. So we talked to them, asked them what they wanted. They wanted restrooms and a meeting place, and that's what we've hoped to create here for them. To be comfortable down here and
it's really,
be outside.
Really nice.
Yeah.
And we have people from the trust here who can tell us more about Jack and how all this property got switched over into the trust. So that's a very interesting story in itself. We also have a naturalist here who keeps the habitat for you, manages the habitat for you. So we'll get a chance to see how the waterfowl are managed and how all that happens here as well. So you got 330 acres here of. It's not public property, but the public is in some ways are invited here, aren't they?
Well, we actually work with youth nonprofit organizations. So a lot of times the Scouts, the 4-H groups, those types of things, that's who we really focus on to help infuse their programs with outdoor education. So that's what Mr. Gardner wanted, was to provide access to those groups to the outdoors. So that's what we're doing for 2017. We've got several events planned for those youth groups, and anything from explore archery programming and clinics, to hunter safety education and outdoor survival, any of those different types of activities. River archaeology and culture we have coming up here soon because we're down here in the river and we've found different artifacts. So just anything outdoor education that we can offer to those youth groups.
Well, thank you. We're looking forward to the tour.
Thank you for
Appreciate it.
coming.
Colt Doyle, when you have 330 acres of wildlife habitat, somebody's got to look after it because it doesn't just happen on its own, does it?
Yes, sir. It's a year-round process. You know, we start in the springtime. You know, working the ground, fertilizing it, getting things planted, sprayed, and it even starts before that. Laying right here next to the Mississippi River, we got to do a drawdown, early spring drawdown, so the water table of these natural lakes are low, so that it helps dry out this ground, so we can come in and work it and start the smorgasbord, the buffet for the upcoming fall.
Well, that's what you want to do, because the only way you're going to attract birds in here, and I'm talking mostly waterfowl, ducks, etc., is if there's something for them to eat.
Absolutely.
Right? So all that we're looking at here is this prime corn country, isn't it?
Yes,
and you're going to grow corn here, and it'll be, gee, by the 4th of July, it'll be about 8 feet high. Won't it?
Yep, you betcha. So we've actually got on this 300 acres here, we've got two impoundments that are flooded corn. We've got one up by the lodge that's just for visual. It's refuge, it's feed. Nobody bothers it. So when we have young people in there, they can watch the birds work and come in.
Yeah.
This one here, we actually hunt this spot, but it's managed very heavily. It's set up in the middle of the property. We have a refuge that we'll go look at. So we're pulling birds from our refuge area, which is our shelter, our stage area, where we leave them alone, where they can come over here and they can feed. You know, this spot here is set up for again, flooded corn. It's great for late season cold weather, where the birds got to have them carbs and those proteins.
Yeah. Now, and we're standing right on top of a blind here. There's the door. You raise that open, and what happens? And the hunters just go ahead and drop down in there.
So this pit was designed for very heavily with youth in mind, easy access, and as far as the way the blind is slanted in the front, that they've got a very small window that they can shoot, because we're practicing safety here. You know, that's a big part of the hunt, and you know, we don't want them to swing over top of somebody or over the back, so we're really focusing right out to the front here.
Okay.
But yeah, this is
and let's walk over that way, because what you've done is you've uncovered some of this.
Yep.
We'll just pretend well, you can open that if you want to.
Take a look at it.
Climb in there.
Yep,
It'll probably be locked or jammed or something.
Yeah, probably. So then we have our stairs.
Oh, yep.
Have our stairs that go down in it.
Sure enough. Boy, that is heavy duty. That's not going anywhere, is it?
Storm shelter.
Yeah, it could be used that way. And then in the off season, this is covered over. But what you've done is you've folded back the cover for us, and you can see that you've got these windows, the openings to
You
shoot
betcha.
out
So you know, we're here in the off season, so it's obviously summarized. You know, it's protected. It's all covered up to keep water and rodents and everything out of here. But in the fall time, you know, these are the dog boxes that actually slide down, and everything will be brushed in, camouflaged you know, so we're hid. Very, very well.
And this will all be grown up corn, but underwater in the fall, right?
Correct.
This will all be under. And the gates, we see some gates over there. Is that how you let the water in to flood it?
Well, those are water control structures that we can actually manage the water level in here, depending on you know, what stage of food we're at, and you know, not putting too much or setting it to where it's at a set level and it can overflow. Because a key, what makes this spot here very, very successful in the late season, and if you can look right over here to the back behind you, there's a 6-inch well that pops out of the ground. Okay, so it can be 0 degrees out, and that's pumping out 50 degree water, and it's keeping a huge open hole here. So basically, this is the spot, this is the party, this is where everything's going to be. So when it gets cold, you got a continuous pump. Okay, well, what we'll do is we'll set our control valves at the level that we want, and we call it pumping and dumping. So we're pumping water in to keep things open, and then we've got to have an overflow, otherwise you'll top your levees. So as it pumps, it's dumping, because we're managing the water level we want, because we don't want to go over top of the feed. So you know, that's a huge success factor in here, is being able to have that open water late, cold, you know, when the birds need the feed.
Now you've got another area over here that you said is where you leave them alone, where you leave the birds alone. Can we go see that?
You betcha. You betcha. We're going to go look at it, and then we're going to also look at another. This is a man-made complex here. This field right here is man-made. We're also going to look at a natural hole that is great for early season. It has a lot of insects and seed, natural feed for them. It's just another option for them. It's more that hole there we're going to look at is mimicking what our refuge. So we'll look at both of those, and we'll just kind of show you the options that we have for these birds, whether it's sunny and 70 or it's blowing snow and cold. So we'll take a look at it.
Well, let's cover up here and take off.
That'll work.
Okay, Cole, we just crossed the field, so what are you doing?
Well, I'm gonna just show you here real quick. The property's got multiple water control structures for maintaining the water level that we want, and not going over going over a food source. Basically, we preset it, and then at late season when we start getting ice, we start pumping and dumping. The water will only go to the level that we got the board set, and then it'll run over. So it's a matter of setting your water level. If you want more, you want more water, you add more boards. You want less water, you take boards out. So basically the water's going to come up, going to raise this level, it's going to dump in, and then flow out, and that's how we manage all of our all of our water complexes around the property. So but I just wanted to show you that real quick.
Good. You need an all-terrain vehicle here.
Yeah.
And you just built a new blind.
Yes, sir. This blind, this is the first season for this blind here.
This is one of the bigger lakes, I guess, huh?
Yes, sir. It's a natural lake. This is something that's few and far between, and it's there's nothing like going into somewhere that's natural to you and not man-made or hesitant.
Yeah.
It offers a variety of different things. It offers great cover for the birds to get out of the weather. As far as a day roost and rest area, also provides a variety of vertebrates and different insects from to feed on. We'll also dewater this, and you can call it moist soil managing. And but we're really after the native plants that are in the seed bank, the smartweeds, natural millets, things like that come up and serve as a great food source early in the season for the early ducks. So it really makes it a great spot for when it's the warmer days, or even the midday action, when you're basically giving them that, hey, come here and hang out till we go out and eat tonight. So but again, this blind was set up so that we'll have stools out here. The young hunters can sit here and be able to see everything that's going on. Safety, we've got gun racks, sody pop, shell holder.
Make yourself at home.
Exactly.
Yeah, but be safe.
Yep.
Be safe.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So.
Well, Cole, I can see that you're flooding a field there right now, right, as we speak. Yep. And you'll turn that off, but you could in the fall. You would just go ahead and let that continue to fill up.
Absolutely. This place becomes a water park during the fall. We've got three different wells on the property, and out of 3 wells, we can go multiple different directions with the hydrant. We've got valves that can shove them north, south, east, and west. It makes it very easy.
Yeah.
But at the same time, when it's dry, we've got these wells are going down deep into the ground to hit the aquifers, to where we can always have water to fill our holes up.
This will be a pretty deep lake in the fall when you fill it up, and of course that's what the birds want. That's what they come in for, right?
Right. Absolutely. We're not our flooded cornfields. We're not looking for a lot of depth, because the ducks that we're targeting are puddle ducks, and they're dabbling ducks. They don't need the deep water. They like to tip up and feed. So when we look for a low variety ear placement of corn, so that way when they're feeding on it, they don't have hands like you and I. They're dabbling with their beaks, so they can't catch everything. So if they drop something, hey, it's shallow enough, they can tip down and be able to eat. The other thing is having these wells that go out in these holes. Again, when it gets really cold out and everything freezes, as long as we have open water for these birds to come to and land in, they will then get up on top of the ice and feed on top of the ice. But you've got to have that open water for them to land in, and go and dip in and drink and all that sort of stuff.
Let's just take a spin around here, because we get a really nice look from here At the major part, there's Gardner Hall there, just on the other side of what's going to be a lake here, and the old red barn and the White House that Jack Gardner used to come to when he was alive,
Right.
and the Quonset hut where they keep a lot of the equipment that keeps this place going. So it's really nice, a nice look back at
Absolutely. We've got the
operation.
trap range, archery range. I mean, you get to, there's a lot of different things you can see from just this point here in the observation tower. Again, these ponds right now they're bare, but everything's been, all the ground's been worked and fertilizer's been put on. We're getting ready to come in and plant corn and watch it grow.
And then watch the birds come.
Exactly. So,
Terry and asked us, it's interesting how all this came about. We've spent the last couple hours touring 330 beautiful acres that weren't always like this. Only the last 5 years has it become like a hunter's education paradise out here. But it started with Jack Gardner, who used to come out here to hunt, I guess, and was somewhat devoted to educating young people, particularly about the natural world and getting outside and enjoying it. And pretty soon, State Street Bank and Trust becomes the trustee. Is that the right term?
That's
for
correct.
all this property?
Jack had written the trust in 2008, and he was his own trustee until he passed away. State Street Bank did not have a long-term relationship with him, so they kind of were discovering this when he passed and trying to figure out what his intent was. The property here had been a duck hunting camp for probably close to 100 years. And then that's what the focus was when State Street Bank first came involved. We said, okay, let's have some mentored youth hunts, let's get some people out here. And then the realization was that, well, you're talking a few weekends every year. This is such a wonderful facility. You had to find ways to expand it, like the event this afternoon that was put on for the Head Start kids. So expanding it, and it will continue to grow and continue to have different uses to it. So.
And it's like you say, it was kind of painted with a broad brush. I mean, he wanted to make sure that it was used for education and recreation of young people, and then beyond that, I mean, well, okay, now what do we do, right?
Right, and it's obviously, when you look at the facility, it's not going to be a Disney World, it's not going to be something, but it is something special, very, very special, and that's what we're trying to emphasize, those things. And you get the kids that come from town, and you saw them jump when they saw the little snake up there in the clubhouse. And they've not experienced that. So this is a great classroom, outdoor classroom, and hopefully for many years to come.
It's my understanding that before Jack died, he bought the materials to build this Quonset hut, and so that was kind of easy direction. You knew you had to go in that direction, right?
He did. He had a longtime friend, companion, helper named Don Sloan, and Don was kind of the caretaker of this property, and we worked closely with Don to see, well, what did Jack really want to have happen? What did he want to do? And Don had been in the process of putting this building up, and then Jack passed away, and then they changed directions on plans on it.
It's also my understanding when Jack would come out here, this was about the only building that was here, this White House, and I guess that's where he would stay when he'd come out for his hunting trips.
There was the White House here, and then there was another two-story house over the way that was occupied, but it had been at least 10 years from what we can gather since anybody had lived there, so it was in pretty rough shape.
And now Gardner Hall over here, which is just a beautiful lodge-type building, that sort of had to be, you all had to imagine that too, didn't you? Of what's going to serve the purposes here?
Well, and the specific terms of Jack's trust, we don't want to get into too much detail, I know, but he said he understood that there would need to be some development, restrooms and so forth, handicap accessible, that type of development, but he didn't want a whole lot of structures built. So State Street Bank figured, okay, we're trying to honor Jack's wishes. We probably have a one-shot deal on what we're going to build. There's not going to be more of these put around, so let's make it into a tornado shelter, let's make it into handicap accessible restrooms, let's make it into a classroom, and you've got a basic catering type kitchen. So it's a one-size-fits-all building, and it's turned out to be a wonderful feature here.
Yeah, it really is. Well, Terry, thank you so much for talking to us. And it's a very interesting story about how a piece of property can change hands and continue to serve, particularly young people now. It's very interesting.
Attorneys don't always get to be into fun projects like this. So this has been a real experience. It's been a good job.
You've enjoyed it yourself,
Absolutely.
Huh? Okay, thank you, Terry.
Thank you.
And they say that the focus remains on young people here, and obviously it's true because coming up in May and July, there's all kinds of field trips planned. And then there's also in June, there's a river archaeology workshop here for young people to learn what the Native Americans were finding here and how they were using it to live here in the Mississippi River Valley. With another Illinois story at Camp Gardner, I'm Mark McDonald, and we're just near Hull in Pike County. See you next time.
Illinois Stories is brought to you by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and by the support of viewers like you. Thank you. For a DVD copy of the program you've just seen, send $19.95 to Network Knowledge, P.O. Box 6248, Springfield, Illinois 62708. Be sure to include the program name, subject, and when the program aired. You can also order with your credit card by calling 800-232-3605.